Hey guys, it's Maureen here and welcome to this week's video. Shortly after finishing the 100 face challenge, I thought it might be a good idea to do the 100 hands one. Hands has never been my favorite anatomy to draw, and each time I attempted it, they turn out looking either claw-like or deformed. I think I'm not the only one who has experienced this. So I looked up for some references on Pinterest to get me started, and I found this board that was dedicated to this challenge. I didn't use all of the images that was in the reference board, only a few, and I sourced the rest from my own research. I was tempted to find the easiest looking hand poses to make my life easier. But I had a change of heart midway as I got deeper into the challenge. Some of the poses from the original reference board had some really interesting gestures that involved other elements such as botanicals and animals, and that sort of pushed me into another area to practice my drawing skills. In order to make it aesthetically appealing and interesting, I used a mix of colored graphite from my new stationery stash. One might think, how many mechanical pencils can one person have? I use them to accommodate the different graphite thickness, and I like it because it saves me the hassle from always having to sharpen it, and it is less messier. The whole exercise took me around 1 week to complete, although I could have finished it sooner. Somehow I wasn't very organized, and that set forth a domino effect of having a backlog of other tasks as well. I wasn't too confident when I first started, and it felt really alien trying to get the poses as realistic as possible. It wasn't that I could just stylize it like I do with my portraits, although I'm pretty sure that is creatively possible. Just that in order to stay on track with the objective of the challenge, I will need to draw it as realistic as possible. Towards the 50th hand onwards, I found that it got easier to draw them. No doubt that repeatedly drawing the same thing builds muscle memory and confidence as well. The challenges that I face when it comes to drawing hands are the positions of each phalanx in their poses and how to get them anatomically right. Our hands come in all shapes and sizes, and as much as I would like to draw them as and how I feel like it, there is still the basic skeletal structure of it that is unmistakably distinctive. By the last 20 hands, I found that I got faster at finishing them, and I wasn't looking so much at the reference to complete them when I first started. It felt like I was drawing from memory despite the numerous poses that it could possibly present. Usually, I do not think when I'm drawing or painting, as I will either have my playlist on or just simply enjoying the silence and my own company. But this time, I am reminded of my mother, whom I've not seen since last year. The way she would prepare our favorite meals every time my brothers and I go back to visit her. She knows exactly how we like them prepared. She would always make sure our home is cozy, tidy, and warm. Her herbs and plants benefit from her constant care. We always have fresh herbs from our balcony in our meals. It is also with the same hands that she sits late into the night, marking her students' work for the next day. Sometimes I don't see her until the next day, as she will be off to her night tuition class. It is just one of her extra classes that she gives her students. She always has a bag filled with things that might be of use, from packets of tissues to first aid and a portable sewing kit, believe it or not. Just in case, she always says. It is as if that she is on constant anticipation for what might be needed in any given situation, and I find myself adopting these traits too. Drawing these hands reminded me of her hands. Years of work has seen them age with lines and wrinkles. She never bothered much about looking after herself. She's one of those old-fashioned Asian moms in some ways, although she's quite modern as well. But yeah, she's pretty old-fashioned, and partly we couldn't really afford much luxuries aside from basic necessities, so anything that is considered extra, like creams and things to, what we call nowadays self-love, that have to take a back burner for us. I see this not only in my own mother and late grandmother, but women in general. We are biologically wired to nurture and care, be it for our offsprings, partner, or others. It feels good to be taken care of, but sometimes even the caretakers need some of it for themselves. One cannot continue pouring from an empty jug, and similarly, one cannot continue to pour into a sauce when there is no outlet for it to flow. As I think of her, I look at my own hands and I see the same story in them. They say that if you want to know how old is a person, just look at their hands. I've heard this in my teens, and at my age now, I see what they mean. Sometimes showing love and care is not only with words, but with our actions as well. They are in the things that we do for others. For example, the meals that we prepare, the simple tasks that we do without being asked in order to make another person's life easier. It is that simple touch and warm hugs that we give to each other just to let them know that they're not alone. And for that, I think hands are the most overused and underappreciated anatomy. But this year, I think our hands had a little bit of break from the lockdown, don't they? Well, I finally completed the challenge, and if you would like to see the 100 face one that I did earlier on, I will put the link in the description box below. I think challenges like these helps to push our skills further, and in some ways it is like a personal motivation and goals that we set for ourselves in order to grow. In order to keep up with times, we need to evolve and be brave enough to move out of our comfort zone, and in some cases, to take a risk in order to ascend. What do you think? Does it make sense to you? 2020 in some ways had pushed us all to grow, not just as a nation overall, but personally as well, in the things that we do and how we used to see things. In some way or another, all of us have been affected by this year. Businesses and individuals who have once didn't see the need to keep up with technology and incorporate virtual experiences are now forced to do that. Things that we used to do in the past and how we were adamant that that was the right thing for us to continue doing also a change this year. It is like a forced change from the universe to us, whether we like it or not. Something like cosmic parenting? Is there even a word? Anyway, sometimes change is not a bad thing. The only downside of it is when we are resistant to it, and that is where we find ourselves missing on opportunities because we were too afraid to take the risk and to evolve. It is never too late to change or start something new, regardless how old you are. Personally, for me, I find this to be true. Chances will always be there as long as we breathe, and whatever that is meant for you, destined for you, even if it means a particular person or a situation, will not escape you even by an inch. It's just a matter of time and whether you are receptive to it or not. Guys, thank you for watching this week's video. If you've made it this far into the video, consider subscribing to the channel and giving this video a like. Once again, if you would like to see my previous video on how I did the 100 face challenge, the link is in the description box below. And with that said, I hope you are having a wonderful week, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye!